All right, everybody, welcome. It is a lovely day on April 23rd here. Happy to be running this room today. It's going to be a good day, I believe. Things are going to happen. The market is coming back. The equities are moving upward with reckless abandon, so that's good. Here's a look at the daily chart on YM. We've got a good gap here on the daily bars. A couple days ago, I drew a retracement here of our swing. We went right down to the 61.8 level and didn't make it down to the 75 level, 75% retracement, and we are moving upwards. So let's uh, let's see if the market is back in gear for the longs. This is the YM on a minute chart. So we are running the Lion system today. The Lion method is an approach where we look to scalp the markets based on two principles. First is a science of overbought, oversold. We want to find out where there are historical periods where the market has moved beyond its historical norms, looking at old data, more recent data, and seeing when the market has truly hit some extreme levels. And we use old data to determine that, the last 7 days worth of price action. And if the market has moved far from the 100 period moving average, we can really quickly determine if it's overbought, oversold, using good old-fashioned science and statistics. I know that's a whole mouthful. I think it's going to fall into place once you watch, check it out, ask some questions for sure, and it makes sense for you. I believe it will. But secondly, not just overbought, oversold, but we also use the old Italian method, the Fibonacci sequence. So we're looking at swings, and we're looking at hitting our price target based on recent swings. So we use a Fibonacci, kind of a unique approach to Fibonacci. I measure the swings a little differently than what most people do. I use the smaller swing to determine it, usually the smaller swing in the move. A lot of people use a larger swing, and I can go into more details on that. But here's an example, actually. Now, this is not a Lion method trade, but the Fibonacci level is drawn here based on this swing from this blue dot to this magenta dot. And it is 61%. This distance from the blue dot to the level is 61% of this swing distance. Very simple. So I'm looking at a reaction against the trend, and I measure 61% of that above this high, and that's where our target is. So it's a reduced target from that swing. So I'm not going for 100%. The 100% would be a little higher of that swing. And that's a valid idea in some contexts, but we're scalping. So we're trying to get out quickly with a high win rate and some good profits. Let me show you a full-on 100% Lions method trade that worked out like a beautiful thing of beauty today. So this is the gold contract, micro gold specifically, and there are two components to the Lion method. Again, we look for overbought, oversold. That's our first indication of the market is interesting. When we're overbought or oversold, that tells us that there's going to be a reaction. So if it's just waddling and going back and forth around the 100 and it is not hitting any sort of extreme levels, that kind of flat market is not one we want to be in. We don't want to do that. We're looking for breakouts. So you don't want to do breakout trading in a flat market. So you want to look for extreme moves. And here is one that set up really nicely in micro gold this morning. So Leto Channels prints these little barriers. These are the low or oversold levels down here. The midline is this 100 period moving average. And the overbought levels are these kind of, vertical pinstripes here above the 100 period moving average. So think of it like, bumpers on a bowling alley, I guess you could think of it as. So we are now oversold right here. We moved down through these levels And when we do that, we stop printing those little pinstripes and we start printing yellow dots. So that tells us visually that we're oversold. Now we start looking for entries. Entries are based on that Fibonacci, Mr. Fibonacci. And what we're going to be doing is looking for the blue dot, which occurs right here, right? Here's our blue dot. So once that blue dot prints, we're looking for an entry to get long when price hits that blue dot level. And that occurred right here. Market moved down, 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 down. This was almost a blue dot entry. If this printed as a blue dot, we would have gone long at that level. And it was really close. The only thing is 1, 2, 3. I'm not sure why it didn't. Maybe it's just a little too volatile. 2, 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3. The significance for these levels are 4. So it's a swing that has 4 bars before it and 4 bars after it make it a qualified swing. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the problem was this fourth bar exceeded the high. And that's the only reason why this was not a blue dot right here. This would have been a blue dot if this bar did not go so far up. If it didn't exceed that, it would have been a blue dot. So it didn't print as a blue Fibonacci dot, but I would have thought of it as one, especially when the market just blew through that level. So I might have gone long here, but in any event, this is the last blue dot we would have bought here. Now the target for this entry is this red line. So the red line that started at that blue dots bar, and it ends the moment that price exceeded the blue dot. So that's why this level is drawn as such. It starts at its swing point and it ends at that level right there, at that bar right there, and that's where it draws. So this is our target. So we're long from here, and our target is placed here. And our stop, technically, you want your stop initially down here at the swing low of that move. So this V pattern here that formed, that's where you would put your stop. Now that's a pretty big distance. It's $123 of movement in the micro gold, $1,230 if you're trading the full gold contract. So that's a big risk for you. Depends on your risk tolerance. But you can also shorten that risk up really, really quickly, especially on a big move like this, a big bar. You know, you might start moving your stop up below that launching point, move it up here. So your risk now is reduced, and trail it as it's going up. That's not a problem. I like to go break even as quickly as possible, and break even for me is when a bar closes above the entry line. So I'm going to draw an entry line here. Let's say this is our entry level, right? We went long here, and the first bar that went and closed and ended above that bar is right there, right? This bar did not go down. It's all fully above the entry price. I would have moved my stop to break even right there. So the risk is very low on this scalp. This is the perfect lion trade. We want to see an aggressive move through that level. And if it doesn't go our way right away, then we're out as quickly as possible. That's what we want. So this trade just played perfectly, did a great job. And we hit target right there. Market reversed almost after hitting that level, it went down. So we're out with a nice little scalp. This level is a $74 win in micro gold. $740 if you're trading a full-size gold contract. So this is a great trade. Perfect demonstration of the lion method. Again, we were oversold. We looked for a buy dot, which is this blue, cyan blue colored Fibonacci swing level. We go and we wait until the market comes back up here. We buy at that level, set our stops down here initially, set our targets up here initially, and then we trail it when it makes sense, which again, I believe is once a bar closes above the entry level, you move that stop there, and then you wait for it to hit. Now, another interesting point is it went all the way up to the overbought level. See this yellow dot here, and this high poked above the red, what we call the 90-10 dots. Leto channels creates these 90-10 channels, and that's the green dots down here and the red dots above it. And we went out and we got target right there. So that's a beautiful trade. Let's take a look and see how the other parts of this world are working out today. Well, one thing is we are now oversold in Leto channels. So we're going to be looking for a swing dot to appear. It probably won't appear here. This is a point of interest for me right there. But we're going to wait a little bit. You know what? I'm not in a hurry. And the market does this pattern repeatedly. If we don't get one on this move down, it'll happen again. And we'll be patient. We'll be patient. Now, some of you might wonder why we didn't go short here. So we went overbought here, and typically with the lion method, once we're overbought, then we start looking for a short signal. And the first short signal that occurs after the overbought is right here. So had we taken that trade, we would have been a winner. I'm not that's where this target is, and we definitely hit it. But I don't want to go short below the 100. I don't want to go short when we're below the 100. So this move was a little too rapid for me, and it's not a qualified lion system trade. It was a winner, but I wouldn't have taken it. So I'm looking for, like in this case, I buy below the 100, and I sell if that signal occurs above the 100. So that's an important distinction. Like this. This is a move that was another valid lion method trade. So we went overbought here. You can see we've got our yellow dots printing. We're above that channel area. The signal dot comes in here. We move up to a retracement, and then we go short right when price comes back to that level. That is right there. So we're short right there, and we're just scalping. Again, we're just scalping. Excuse me. But we are scalping to the target that's identified. So we're going short right here, and we go from this point down to that target, which is our fib level, and that's a $33 win. So the stop was way up here. The stop is right here. That's the swing high between here and the entry. So our stop is up here initially. We don't get stopped out. We go short, we get a little retracement, and we go to target. So that was a nice little move. I'm not trading that early in the morning, but in a nice volatile market like today, it definitely would have paid off. Here's another one that you might have considered. Now, we do go oversold here. And the blue dot prints, but the blue dot you see is above the 100. I don't like to do that. Not saying it didn't work. It did work. It worked out really well actually if you went and bought there. But one of the rules is I like to buy on a breakout when that breakout is below the 100 line. So that's just one of the filters. Leor, how you doing? Great to have you here. This yellow line is one of the Leto channels. It's the center line for the channel, and it is. I think I've got it to a EMA. Let me check though. I think it's an EMA, but it doesn't matter. I mean, it's whatever Leto channels are using. I think it's an EMA. 100 period, very long term. We want to have it long because it's an anchor. We don't want it to be very volatile and wiggly and up and down. We want it to be a reference point, not a trend per se. So it's got to be very stable. So you can even experiment with a 200 period moving average in Leto channels. That's fine. And Leto channels then calculates the overbought levels, which are these bands up here, and it calculates the oversold levels, which are down here, based on this moving average. So it's what it does is it looks over every minute. This is a minute chart. So it looks over every minute in history in the chart, and it determines, well, it calculates how far the prices moved from that midline. So, last Monday, last Tuesday, last Wednesday, last Thursday, last Friday, it looks at the time from 7 to 7:30, and it says, okay, let's take all of the locations of price over those days, and we're going to do a little statistical distribution here. And it tells us that 90% of the time, this 90-10 line right here, 90% of the time prices are between the green and the yellow. So that's kind of a no man's land. These are areas that show us nothing really exciting. It's just kind of flatlined. But when we go to 10% of the trades or the prices exceeded that level historically, this is an area that we're interested in. So if price again moves to that 10% kind of uh, oversold level, if it moves that far, then we're interested. And that's where oversold scientifically is being defined. It's a numerical analysis method. So we're oversold when price hits its 10% extreme. Now this blue level down here, this shows us that the 100% move, that's the furthest price moved away from the midline during this time of day, between 7 and 7:30 Eastern Time. So you'll see that this is the blue line up here shows us that in the history of this chart, the prices never exceeded that distance from the midline. So that's important information. If we get up and hit that exceeded level, then we've broken new ground. Like here, we exceeded the highest point of that move. So this is a big move. This is a new high. This is a breaking to new distances from the 100, the midline. And now we're very interested in going short. And again, that short certainly did pay off when it retraced and broke through support. So that's the lion method that we're using. Let's see, how is things shaping up? All right, well, we do have, this is going to be a dot any minute now. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so this should be a buy dot here. This should be in the next minute or two. We'll see a blue dot print there. And that will be our buy level. That will be our buy level. Once this bar closes, now while we're waiting for that, another feature of Leto channels is these histograms, this magenta colored histogram. All right, so our buy dot is in. So I would be putting a buy stop order right here. So that's just a setup now. We have a valid setup. We're oversold. And now we have a swing point defined. And once we break that swing point, we'll get our target to print. Back to the discussion of these. So you see a green histogram here. It's kind of faint. And I see a red histogram here. And you see a red histogram here in the future. What that is that shows us an average price above or below the 100 or the midline in all of our history. So not only do we know that this is the range of prices, which are overbought or oversold levels, but it also shows on average, price is usually above the 100 here. So historically, at this time of day, from roughly 7:45 here until 8:25 or so, price has been above the 100. So when we see it go low, we know when we go oversold and our expectation or our tendency is upward, well, that's a divergence, and that's very interesting too. It's telling us that this price is normally above the 100. When it's below the 100, we have a divergence. So that's an interesting divergent point. And we would really be interested in going along there. That made it even more meaningful signal for me anyway. And you can see prices did shoot up and kind of went into its tendency very quickly. Here's a tendency of down. We had a downward expectation, and price definitely moved downward during that. The historical time shows it should be below the 100, and it certainly reversed back to that. So that would have made a more interesting or meaningful trade here, for sure. Again, I didn't advocate this one because it's a little too low for me. It's not above the 100. Um, Now this is interesting. We're below the 100. The tendency going into the future, since we know historically these numbers are based on history, I know I can project them into the future. I know that this is what our tendency is during this time of day. So in the last 7 days or so, the gold has been down, 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 below the 100. So it's not an oracle of truth. It's not the ultimate guide, but it just tells us tendency of what the market likes to do. It's a little confirming signal. Now, what we're doing here with this trade is we're going against the tendency because we're going to be buying into this downward move. And we're going to do that because this is a valid trade, but we're going to move our stops pretty quickly because the tendency is down. We're going long, and that's something to, consider. I'm not going to be holding the trade too long. I don't want to lose. Um, but again, the full system rules, you can almost ignore the tendency histograms. They're not as critical. I find them very interesting. I find them very interesting. Markets repeat, like here's one. We had a tendency histogram that's up during this time of day, and the market certainly rallied during that time of day. We had a tendency to be down, and the market certainly put in new lows here during the European session. Uh, Here is a look from 1700 hours, so 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon. Tendency for gold has been a rally during the Asian session. It fell off, opened up very low, but it did climb back. So we see the tendency during that session, recent tendency is showing an upward move. Um, I would have been very interested in uh, and these would have been winners for sure. Look at that big move, open downward. So this would have been a buy signal here, a stop down at this level, right? Stop is down here. Going long at that point, the tendency is up. We're definitely oversold to an extreme level, way below the 100. And this is a perfect buy. And the target was right here. Target was right there. That's that magenta colored dashed line. And we definitely hit it right there on the money. It sold off a little bit from that level. And a valid another trade would have been right here. So we went oversold off of that move. We went oversold. This would have been our valid buy level. I don't know if you can see that. Our stop would have been down here. So again, we're going long at that price. Price meandered around, meandered around. It hit it here. That's where we're actually long right there. Our stop is the swing low. And our target was up here. That's that magenta line. The dashed line starts at the dot, goes over to the bar that actually filled that position, and we hit target. So Leto channels did really, really well in gold throughout the day already. So now we're just waiting for that entry. Let's take a look at some other markets. Let's see how this is going. Okay, so we really haven't been overbought or oversold lately, so NASDAQ is not really to step one of this process yet. It needs to get above this red line or below this green line before I'm interested. All right. The Russell also is not hit its overbought, oversold levels, so we're not going to be interested. Boy, this would be a sweet short, but again, it did not hit its overbought, oversold levels. I do follow some of the ags. This is live cattle. If you haven't traded live cattle before, we actually had a winner in live cattle yesterday. This is yesterday's chart. And here is a valid short right here. And you can see I took it. You can see the entry arrow, which is right here. So I took that short. We were overbought. We went and we hit the sell-off level, and we exited right there for a gain. I think it was about $80 per contract right there. So another key support and resistance level I use is the midline. So it's uncanny to me that like this was support, right? We hit that level and we just took off. So I don't like to hold a short or long past the 100. Yeah, it could go all the way down to oversold. That it could do anything. But I usually use the target, which is the fib level, as our initial target, and at best I'll hold to the midline, and that was a possibility there. But um, again, I was already out of the trade. All right, so that is now live cattle opens at 9:30. It closes at like 2:10 in the afternoon p.m. So 14:05 or something like that. And then it opens up at 9:30, so there's no trading overnight with live cattle. So this is showing us the tendency for opens right now are high. Tendency above the 100 is to open up quite high. Um, that means to me, if it gaps down at the open, that's really interesting to me. So if live cattle opens up down here, I'm really interested in buying it because the tendency has been so strongly above the 100. If you open up down here, there's a reversion principle. So that's interesting. All right, well, look at that. I'm talking too much and I missed a good trade in crude oil. All right, so here it is. We were oversold, oversold, oversold. These yellow dots are telling us we're oversold. We're below the oversold levels. Right here, we get a blue dot. You see that? Control F2. That's our blue dot. That's our fib entry, and we go long right here. You know, when price hits, it might have hit it here, it might have hit it here, hard to tell. So we go and we buy at that point. Our stops are down here. Again, this is the entry price, and our target is there, and we hit it. We hit that target. That target in the micro crude was good for $23 or 230 if you're trading full crude contract. So that was a good scalp right there. Got in, got out. Now, technically, all right, this was another one. We hit oversold right here. Do you see that yellow dot? It stopped printing a pinstripe. Yellow dot printed. So we're oversold right at that bar. We went below the green dot. That's how we get oversold. This was technically then a buy level. Right here is a buy signal. We hit that price, and it's a really short target because it's a small swing. But the target would have been good for another $9, so $9 in micro crude. I'm interested in that too because it was right at the 100, which is another resistance level or target. This line here is from this fib dot, and it was hit as well. So, you know, depending on how you want to do that, you can see it definitely hit that fib level and bounced off it. So had some sort of reaction to that. Okay, let's go on to my next favorite market, which I do follow natural gas, and lo and behold, we do have a win here too. No, no, my bad. We haven't gotten oversold yet. So this isn't a valid setup. There's nothing here in natural gas yet. I think, did I do a trade yesterday in nat gas? Let me go back to yesterday. No, we never hit We never hit overbought, oversold. Yeah, okay, so this has been just kind of a lackluster market. So nothing yet in nat gas. Um, that's about it. Now I do also follow some equities. So here is Meta, good old-fashioned Facebook, right? So it works really good on equities. This is the region that I trade, but we're not overbought, oversold yet. Meta has been kind of sleepy. I think Tesla has not been oversold, overbought. You can see there's a big volatility in the morning, and then as time goes on, we have less volatility. So you see how these Leto channel bands get down, 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 or up, 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 up. So volatility contracts from the open. This, if you're an equities trader and you like to trade the opening gap, I think Leto channels is the best indicator for that. Because if we have a tendency histogram here to be up, but we open up with a downside gap, that's a huge signal. So that's a perfect buy setup. Let's see if that occurred. Yes, any recent history? No, not there. Now gaps don't happen all the time. Now here's one that's interesting. We're almost overbought. Gap upward. The tendency you see is downward. So this is an outsize or a divergent move. And if you're trading, I would look for that topping formation, look for a move down. Definitely interested right in this area for a short signal and then sell off. Didn't quite hit our target, but it did hit the close price of prior day. So that's another interesting point. So right about here, it almost made it. It didn't quite make the that level. So, you know, it's hard to hit that level, but that's the idea. All right. Now, you might not know this, but you can get equities data in NinjaTrader if you have a Schwab account, which was formerly Thinkorswim, TD Ameritrade, and that's how I get my 1 minute. It's time-based equity data, but that's how I get it in. It'll start rolling in. It's 9:30 right now, so 9:30. Okay, so let's see. Oh, I gotta connect. I wasn't connected. All right, I'm connecting to my. There we go. Leor, thank you for joining me. Do you have any questions or anything you want to chat about? Let me know. Well, look at this, guys. Huge move in Tesla. Look at that. We are definitely overbought. Overbought strongly in Tesla on the open. Meta where is Meta? Wow, look at Meta. The market is definitely overbought. Now, this is fascinating to me. Tendency is a downward open. And look at that. We're in the stratosphere on Meta. $531.90 open in Meta. Tesla is moving downward. I would be really looking at shorts right now, but we can wait for a Fibonacci dot in these too. Let's see how the micro NAS is doing. All right, we're still not overbought or oversold yet, so we're just waiting. Okay, the Russell, the M2K instrument, we have to get up here to get overbought. The YM Dow is not overbought or oversold yet. Live cattle opened up, and look at that, we are now overbought. So this could be an interesting setup. We're going to look for a sell dot in live cattle. Again, the strong tendency is to be above the 100, but it does, you see it fades off, and it does get close to the 100. and eventually, takes a long time. Actually, it's been up, up, up quite a bit last in history. That's the average location. All right, so this might be putting in a little topping pattern. We're looking for that. Crude oil, we're back to crude here. Nothing yet, not overbought or oversold, but we did have two winners in crude already this morning. Nothing going on in natural gas. Nothing, nothing, nothing. So we can ignore that. Now crude is finding lows here. All right, I know I did a lot of talking and a lot of chart moving, so I'll slow it down hopefully. But we do like to look at different markets, and this method is working on all of them. Okay, MNQ is trying to push higher. Now, the actual overbought level is way up here, so we still got time. All right, so we've got another swing. So there's two dots. I would be buying right here. When price gets up there, that's when we're interested. Hasn't put in, we could put another swing up here, which would be great. So I don't like buying too close to the 100 because the 100 is a resistance to me. I don't want to be buying into resistance. Um, but it's something to be wary about. It's not like a showstopper. All right. Tesla, look at that. So we're out of the overbought area now. I would really be. I'm hoping that it goes back up into overbought and then we put a swing dot in there. That could work. And that would be our breakdown price, the lion method. Meta is just up there in no man's land, way up there. I'm gonna look at the daily YM here. Daily YM is pretty high. Live cattle is putting in it's gonna put in, well, it won't put in a swing low here, but I would strongly consider doing it. 2, 3. So it's a 4 significant swing, and this is the third bar. So this is not going to be a valid blue dot, or I'm sorry, magenta dot, because it's just a little too close to the big move. Uh, so it's a possible entry, but it won't print the magenta dot that I'm looking for. I would be interested in shorting there though, because we're so overbought. Tendency is up, so that gives me a little bit of caution. MCL is almost oversold. If it does get oversold, then this would be our entry dot. Nat gas still not doing much, just going sideways. Well, we hit a fib level or two here, but still not a valid uh, entry yet in the YM. Again, we're looking for this outside move. We're looking to find out when has it moved further. So 90% of the time, prices are in here. So it's comfortable near the 100. That's the idea here. It just kind of can oscillate around the 100, but we want to look for when it moves far from the 100. That's when we get overbought. I'm not interested yet. Now, you can modify the lion method and just you can use a trending system. I don't like to use it, but you could for sure. Um, or trend is upward on the channel. This could be a valid buy dot. You put your stop down here and you do win that trade. Here's another trend trade. You know, I don't use, like I say, I don't do trend trades too much. I do reversals, but you would buy here, right? Because you broke through that high and your target is right here. So there's a lot of ways to use the extension 62 lines indicator, and that's what that's called. Okay, well, something's going on here. 9:37 in the morning. We are now overbought in the Russell. We're way overbought in Dow. Micro NASDAQ is moving upward. All right, if things hold out, we might have a buy dot here in gold. All right, well, live cattle is moving up into more overbought levels. Whoa, crude oil just blew into overbought. Wow. You guys see that? That's a big move. I'm not sure what's going on, if there's big news today or what. Wow. So all of these fib levels, just for your own reference, they're printed based on these swing highs. So this dot, once price hit through there, this level is its corresponding fib distance. There is a secondary fib on certain circumstances. This is a secondary fib, this solid line up here. This solid blue line is also a secondary fib on that swing. But we use the dotted lines. That's what we're targeting. Live cattle. Here we go. Here's the Dow. The Dow just reacted strongly against being overbought. Y2K, the M2K. I call it Y2K, I'm sorry. That is definitely reacting. So these are strong levels, channels for Leto channels. This is overbought. And we just hit, this was, again, this blue dot's up here, the maximum move historically from the 100. And we just hit that and reacted off of it. That's interesting. All right. Micro NAS is very volatile right now. Gold is tanking. $3,300 gold. If you're a trend trader, you won a whole bunch of times. Got a bunch of wins under your belt, but maybe we can do the lion. We could do the tiger system. The tiger would be the trend trader, right? Possible. It is possible. All right, Meta is putting in an interesting pattern here. So if this prints a magenta dot, that's our sell signal. And this is really interesting because we're tending to be below the 100, but we're way above it. Tesla, this would be our, oh, there we go. So four bars before that swing point, 4 bars after that swing point, we get our sell dot. So this would be a sell level in Tesla. Let me show you where extension 62 level would be right around this level. 61.8 is right here. So that would be the distance we'd want to get in Tesla. So that's a $2.88 move if we go short. So that would be our target down to that level. One thing that extension 62 lines does, you'll see these blue lines that bop around when I move my mouse. This blue line tells me the entry is here and the stop is here. That's where it points to. And it tells me what the risk is in dollars. And you can see in the bottom right corner, it says $5. It says 300/5, and that's 60. So it's telling me I have set this to be a $300 risk. That's my parameter setting. And it's telling me that this distance is just a $5 move in the stock. It's rounded to the nearest dollar, so it might not be good for equities, but The $5 move in the stock. Therefore, I can trade 60 shares of Tesla with the risk of $300. So that's at my little calculator down here. So that's what extension 62 line does. All right, well, we're getting there. We're getting there. Meta does have our magenta dot now. So that risk is $6, and we would be able to trade 50 shares for that amount of risk. So you can see it's $6.23, so it rounds it up to $7 of risk per share. So that's a little position size calculator that appears in the bottom right of the chart with extension 62. All right, we had a lot of move here, a lot of movement. Live cattle is still up in the overbought area. Crude did something at 937. No signals here. I remember looking really strongly at that buy level though, and that would have been that would have won in like 5 seconds. But we did not hit oversold. All right. I also have I've got uh, Bitcoin. Now this is from the Coinbase data feed in NinjaTrader, which you can get. This actually was a valid sell signal in Bitcoin. We went overbought. We came down and we hit this level, right? Entry short, and target was achieved within less than a minute, looks like. That would have been a $235 win in Bitcoin. But the volatility is crazy right now. I also look at Solana. This is another meme, well, it's not a meme coin, it's a platform coin that is pretty popular nowadays. People are predicting this to be a 4x trade. It was down to $100 during the down move, and it's now at 150. So we're up 50% from where the lows were. This one doesn't have a signal today. All right, no signal yet. YM is going crazy. M2K is not put in a sell signal yet. MicroNAS has not put a sell signal in yet. Gold, we're still looking at that as a possible entry long. Meta is moving higher. All right, that's our short level in Tesla. Boy, Elon's just getting beat up. The guy tries to help save money from our federal government and gets his cars ransacked and burned. Interesting world we live in. Well, gold is moving lower, lower, lower. $3,300 gold. I remember being a kid in 1980 and gold hit $800 and everybody thought it was just ridiculous. $800 gold. I remember in the year 2000, gold was at like $235. I actually bought a bunch of uh, 1 ounce and a tenth of an ounce gold coins back at that time. I had like 11 of them. And I thought I was a hero when I sold. I bought them at 235, 250, something like that. And I thought I was a hero when I sold them at, I think it was a $650 price for gold. Well, I wish I didn't. I would have 10x'd my gold and then some had I held on to it, but I didn't. So I got out with a profit. All right. Live cattle. Not putting in a sell dot yet. This would be a sell level though. This is interesting to me, this level here. Yeah, nothing much yet, guys. We should be getting another swing dot here. 1, 2, 3, another minute or two. We should get a buy dot there. That would be a really good trade. But they are selling off gold right now. Coming up to the stopping point of the move. So for this 30-minute time period, oh no, I think I've got this set to 10-minute. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so I changed this yesterday. So now these are 10-minute increments. So most of the time I run with a 30-minute. See how big those are? This is from 9 o'clock till 9:30. I switched it over just to demonstrate. You can change that in Leto channels. There's a time slice number. This one is at 10 minutes, so you get a little bit more refined distances. And you can see historically, 10-minute, the extreme move was way up here in the micro Russell, and we didn't hit that level. We did hit the 90-10 level, so we're into the overbought level. Wait for it to come out. Okay, yep. All right, so gold, we do have our buy dot, so that's our new buy level. That would be our new buy level right there. Now I'm going to let the gold traders get exhausted on their shorting. I'm not going to buy until we get back. This is not a time to buy because there's no evidence of buying activity. So we need to get above this resistance level. All right, crude oil, not really putting much in. Live cattle, MCL, NG is doing flatline. All right, let's take a look at our equities. So this is Meta. Uh, Feel free to visit my store, guys, too, store.sbgtradingcorp.com, and you'll see some videos on these tools and availability there by the system. Oh, okay. Well, here, Tesla, we just hit our sell level. So technically, we're short in Tesla from this level, and that's our target. Our stop is up here. So if you're trading equities, I would have been short right here. I'm getting allergies. Good morning, Matt. Good to see you. Hope you're doing good. God bless you today. God bless you both. We're short in Tesla here, Matt. If you're a equities trader, I would be short Tesla, targeting, I think it's a $2.88 move down to here. We had some really good trades in gold this morning and crude. Gold is just plummeting, but here was a great trade early in the morning. You can see that one, Matt, right here. We went long, and that spot definitely oversold. Strong reaction against being oversold, and we hit target right before the market just tanked. Actually went from oversold to overbought, all the way rail to rail, I call it, all the way from one end to the other, but we did hit our target there. That was a good move. We had some, if you're trading the European session, there was a few other trades. Oh, yeah, these were good too. So this one at about 5:30 in the morning Eastern time, that was a good short. Um, if you were buying here, it could have been a good trade. Excuse me, y'all. Okay, so where are we at with Tesla? Let's go back and look at our Tesla chart. So one of my principles is it's got to go my way right away or else no way. So I don't like this move here. We're finding some support. I would, if I'm not out yet, I would put my stop down to here. I don't want to, oh, look at that. This is, I say that. Yeah, I don't like this. I don't like hitting my level and then going back and forth. That's not my preferred way to live. Uh, I don't like this either. We're finding some buying going in here. Look at this open though, Matt. We had a strong tendency for Meta to be below the 100. It opened up hugely overbought. So that's a very interesting situation. This would be our sell price for Meta. Go back to Tesla. That's great to hear. Glad to hear it. Super, super happy for you. Good job. All right, here we go. I don't know. Will Tesla tank? Poor Elon. They're burning his Cybertrucks and keying them and crazy world. All right, well, I'm gonna get rid of this entry line because that's just in the way. This is my stop loss here. My target again is down in that level. Hmm. M2K. All right, we're looking for a sell dot. Nothing has really come along. There's too much volatility right now. Excuse me. YM is there. Live cattle. Well, if you're if you're this isn't a valid sell signal because it just was too volatile in the morning, but if you're short, I wouldn't blame you. This is a possible area. This is another possible area for sure. And really, this would have been the ideal spot right here, right here. Especially when we broke through it and then retraced into it, and it and then pushed down. That shows us that kind of I think it's called the ledge pattern. All right, so MCL, where are we at here? Not much. If there's any market you guys want me to pull up or look at, let me know. Could definitely do that. All right, the YM market really reacted at the 940 today. Gold is putting in a nice bottom. We like to see that. We won't get a fib dot here because 1, 2, 3, 4, this fourth bar kind of blew that pattern. But I'll keep an eye on that. That could be a good buy level. You know, right there. It's like the gold sellers are getting tired of selling. All right, so we got that one up there. Meta, where's our Tesla? How's our Tesla doing? We're still in Tesla, folks. I really like Leto channels in equities when they gap. Big gap moves. If you're a gap trader, I bet the volatility was off the charts at that moment in time. So selling an option, like a call option up here, I don't know where calls are placed. There's a 256 level, 255. I would imagine 255 was a strike price, but selling, you're overbought, you're gapping up, volatility is high, so that's a great time to sell an option. Meta as well. I mean, we had a huge gap up. Tendency again is to be downward. I think you would have just killed it based on the volatility decay. Forgot what Greek that is. But selling a call at 540 or so would have been a good move. Severely overbought. Yeah, guys. Oh, look at that. You know, the minute I doubt Tesla, it moves down. So, but I really don't like this pattern. Yeah, we're out. So we got stopped out in Tesla. Hit our stop level here. That is the way that cookie crumbled. I mean, if you were still up here with your stop, which is the initial stop, you're in it still, but all right. Russell's doing what the Russell does. Got a little action going on. Something happened at 10 o'clock here. Anyone have a news feed open? Well, we actually had a valid sell dot in live cattle. This is an interesting level. I don't know, not as clear. Tendency has been strongly upward, so I'm hesitant to go short. It's just the market here has been historically very comfortable to be above the 100. Give me a minute here, guys. If you have any questions, feel free. Time and sales, what is that? New home sales at 10 o'clock. All right, Matt, thank you. So we are really now short in live cattle based on our sell dot here. We just broke through it. We'll get our target in a moment. It's a good short pattern. So this is called a descending triangle. So you can see, we had this ray right here, and we had this horizontal level. So the triangle was descending, showing selling pressure. Finally, the low broke, and we're almost at target. Almost at target. See if we can get it. There we go. I think we got it. So that was a quick one. I mean, yeah, there we go. So we just pushed below it. So that was a win. $120. That was a winner. All right. Well, that's another scalp for us, guys. All right. Well, live cattle coming back, but that was a winner. All right. Let's see here. I like to trade live cattle because I like steak, and I like to see where my costs are going to be for my steak purchases. Now, live cattle are the ones who are going to stay alive, I think, for the next year, if I understand it right, or at least they're the ones that are going to be. They're not going to market yet, so they're the ones who are lucky to live. It's the feeder cattle prices. That's the one that actually is those who are getting fattened up. They're getting fed a lot, and feeder cattle market's a different market. It's a lot thinner than live cattle. Let's go and switch over to feeder cattle, and that's GF if you're interested. I just find that the spread is a lot wider, it's a lot choppier. I have some good setups in feeder cattle. We would have gone short here, hit target a couple minutes later. So target would have been about $262 profit, not too bad. So feeder cattle has some valid setups. Now, yesterday afternoon there was a valid setup here, very small move. Feeder cattle dies out here at the end of the day. Let's see. Well, feeder cattle would have had a stop out if we went short here. The target was hit and that stop was hit. So we went short here. We just missed our target and it went stop. So that would have been a heartbreaker. That 100 period average is a significant level. Let's do one more of the meats, guys. Let's take a look at live hogs. HE had a good trade, live hogs. Short right there when it hits, boom, we're overbought. Short here, and we're target out right there. That's a good move. Why my thing isn't working, but there we go. Target was right here, $180 move in the live hogs. Could have, would have. That was one. If you're watching it, that was one. Let's switch over and have a look at some grains. This is soybeans. Yeah, kind of flat, not much going on. Um, this morning, it'd be going long right in this area. Yeah, not much there to chew on. Very short target. This is yesterday in soybeans. Yeah, just did not hit oversold. We hit oversold here. Yeah, soybeans just not doing much here, guys. Let's have a look at, I like to look at copper. High grade copper is interesting market too. We got oversold here, and yeah, we actually did hit our target. Oversold, so the lowest of those two is right here. We got there, and we got out when we hit price. $125 win in copper. Other than that, nothing else. So we got another possible setup here. If we get a cyan colored extension 62 dot, we'll go. The tendency is up, which is good. Being oversold with an upward tendency tells us that there's a good chance of a move upward. We'll keep it on HG. We got our win in the live cattle. All right, where are we at here? So this would be our sell level for the YM. Sell level in the M2K. This one is just too close to the 100 to be interesting for me. All right, well, we got another sell level, or buy level, I'm sorry, in gold. I'd be looking to buy there. Sellers are not done in gold yet. They are not done in gold. Give me a moment, folks. Looking to buy the gold when we get there. Leor, have a good day. God bless. Take care. All right. All right. So M2K. Look at that, Matt. Daily bar of the YM. We're coming back. Let's see. Copper. Ooh, we got to buy Sigma copper. All right, well, go on. Crude here is taking a tumble. Got another one firing off in gold. Going lower and lower and lower. That's fine. Let them get tired. We're getting close. Tendency is shifting downward in the Russell. Definitely oversold in crude. Nat gas is flat today. Here's our Russell. All right, gold is getting interesting. We put a buy entry here. Our extension is going to draw a target right at that 61.8 level. So right about here is where we should get a target. Let's see, maybe gold's shorting is over. Target would be roughly there, which is a $92 target. Copper is not doing much down there. I would put a short in right, yeah. Not a lot of space to the 100 though, so a little cautious. But this tendency is down, so let's go short on the Russell there. I'm not going to go along on this one. All right, we're long in gold. Long in gold. Stop is down here. Our target is going to be right there. Look at that. Right there is our target. You can see the dotted line. Let's see if gold's downward move is over. Let's see. You guys following along on this one? All right, well, it's not going my way right away. I don't like it. I don't like it. I do not like it. But we're in it. We're still in it. If I had exited already, I would be looking to buy again on a breakout of that level. All right, well, we're back up there. All right, so I see just put an order in here. I'll put my stop up there, so I'm not going to risk a whole bunch. I am not going to risk a bunch on this one. Come on now, gold, get on up. Get on up. Get on up. Matt, you following on this one? Hmm. All right, get on up. We're long in micro gold. There we go. Get on up. Let's go and exit out 3 at that level. All right, so I have a little modified exit. I'm going to exit out 3 of my 5 at the target. And let's see how it goes here. Maybe we'll get up to the second level. Now the second, okay, the second fib is up there. That's based on this fib right here, so it's interesting. You got a little layering going on here. Once we hit that level, oh, well, I'm going to move my stop to break even. Move my stop to break even plus 1 or 2 because we did have this bar close above the entry price. So there we go, Matt. All right, well, we get our first target. I like that. I'm going to move my stop up a little bit more into the money in case gold acts like some psychotic market. We might get stopped out. Like we will. We hit our fib level and market said that's enough. Fibonacci was right. I'm tired of going up. Fibonacci was right again, that Italian, brilliant Italian mathematician that he was. Smart guy. I got a feeling he didn't discover it. I don't know. Because the Greeks and the Romans knew about phi, which is the ratio of 2 consecutive fib numbers. And phi is the golden ratio. So it was known before Fibonacci. Maybe Fibonacci just wrote about it and was an influencer in the 15th century or whenever he was around. But all right, well, I should have gotten out at my target, Matt. Well, we had a couple bucks on that one. Should have gotten out because look at that. Fibonacci was right. The natural rhythm of the market. How did he know? Brilliant man. All right, where are we at on this? Oh, all right. I was busy watching gold, but we got a target in the Russell. We got a target. We got a target. I didn't even know it. Got a target here too. I didn't see that one creep in. Guys, I gotta wake up. What is going on here? Hey, all right, I'm waking up. Promise. We're almost at an entry in copper. Yeah, okay, there we go. So we're gonna buy bid on that guy right here. Build on the long and copper extension. It's probably gonna come right about here. I don't know yet. All right. Well, there we go. Come on now, copper. Are they gonna cancel the pennies? Are we gonna get rid of our US cent? Trump was thinking about ending the penny. If you're a numismatist, they used to have half pennies back in the 1700s and early 1800s. Those were done away with. Yeah, we had the half penny, a half cent. Actually, we don't have pennies. We have cent. C-E-N-T. I don't like that word though, because it confuses me. Half penny. I think pennies, isn't that pence? That's what it is in the British vernacular. I think we picked up that from the Brits. Well, copper is stalled. Maybe we'll lose it. I don't know. Where's gold? Gold is just going up and down. YM. Yeah, guys, look at that. I'm sorry. I missed I had it in here, the level for Russell. I think I had this for YM. HG is hanging in there. Crude is trying to find its legs. Copper is our position right now. Why didn't it draw a level? I don't know why it didn't draw a level. Okay, well, let's try this. Okay, that is 61.8 right there. Copper is giving us quite a start. Gold is acting like a erratic beast. Where were we at? Oh, look at that. We just hit, well, really we should have been short here in Meta. That guy, Tesla, gave us quite a fake out, but that's all right. We're out of that. Copper, making some money. Copper. There it is. Finally printed that level. I don't know why it took so long, but let's go down there. All right. Well, I don't like copper right now. All right. Well, we're holding on there. Holding on. line. Meta. So we're short from here. We would have put a stop. I would have put a stop up here. We just barely missed our target. And let's see. Not over yet. Copper is wondering which way to go. Copper could be a very slow mover and a thin market. So, all right. Well, maybe it'll push up here. Maybe it won't. Something's in the air today, guys. I'm sneezing. All right. Come on now. Get on up. Get on up. All right, Matt. There we go. One more. We hit it. We did our target. Did you have any doubts? All right, we're long from here. We got out here. $200 pickup. And you said it couldn't be done. I'm just having fun with you. All right. We're winning today, everyone. Reminds me of that old song. What was that? I'm winning. I'm winning. And I'm never losing again. Bow, bow. That was a Steve Perry song, wasn't it? Journey. What I thought was love must have been lust. Ba ba da ba. Ba ba da ba da do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. I'm winning. What was this? Oh, this is gold. Gold is just, well, we hit our target. And then it went up to that fib level again and said, no, Fibonacci was right. And we missed a whole bunch of trades, but we got a bunch of, I didn't get any losers to, no, what did I get a loser on? Tesla. Tesla. Yeah, I went short here and I got stopped out. I think I had my stop here. Yeah, and it just ticked it. The new home sales report. Elon's making money again. Look at that. All right. So, well, we're losing on Meta too. So, can't I can't say we're not going to be unscathed here. I don't like shorting stocks. Okay. So, we've got some winners today. All of you naysayers out there. Feeling good today, except for my allergies. Well, Bitcoin Cash is setting up a buy signal. Tendency, I don't have the histograms on, but I have the dots, and the dots are showing upward. Solana could be a good buy. A bonny buy, a bonny. You guys know the Scottish word for beautiful? Bonny. And a bonny. All right, guys, it's 10:30. We made some money. Elon got us for a couple bucks. Elon. It's a weird name. Copper. Nailed it. $200 move in copper. What was I at? Oh, crude. Crude we're long, guys. Alright. Crude is long. I'm going to put my stop here. Target is going to be, wait, target is right about there. Crude is long. Crude is long. Well, I don't like trading crude that much. It could be a really, really goofy market, in my humble opinion. Target is there. Hmm. What do you think, Matt? Are you in any of this action with Micro NAS? Doing anything with Y2K? Where is crude? Let's get back to our trade. Crude, I don't like you. You could be a real problem. Let's see if Mr. Fibonacci was right in the crude market. Hmm. Senor Fibonacci. Senor Fibonacci, man. Great mathematical influencer that he was. Hmm. Nice, Matt. Nice. God bless you today, buddy. All right, crude is encouraging me. You're not all bad, crude. You're not all bad. I'm addicted to crude. The world's addicted to you. Stop oil. What's with those crazy people that are standing in the highways, preventing people from using their automobiles? Wow. Talk about uh they got some bravado. They got some guts. But I will tell you this, if crude is destroying our planet, then they're right to do so. But is it destroying our planet? I really don't think so. Here's something to think about. So before the first living thing existed on the planet, let's talk about this from a naturalistic point of view, if you will. Um, there was a time when the planet was just a big rock and no life existed at all, right? And then the primordial soup or whatever, right? Life sprang into existence somehow. Finally, we had the first living thing. Well, if the planet was just a big rock, where was all the carbon located that is now sequestered in plants and animals? All the carbon we see today in leaves and in tree trunks and in animals, right, and in fish and in algae, all that carbon was somewhere else. It hadn't been converted into living material yet, it hadn't been consumed. So where was it? Oh, look at you, crude, being a bit of a pill. So where was it? Matt, you got an answer? Where was all the carbon before it was sequestered into living material? All right, crude. You're doing what you're doing. That's fine. Tell you what though, if you don't get moving, I'm gonna get rid of you because you aren't helping me. Are not helping me with this ups and downs. Oh sure, Dr. Hugh Ross. I was greatly influenced by him early in my Christian life. Um, what was his book title that I read? I don't agree with him now because he's kind of a naturalist, but definitely get some good food for thought. Why'd he bring it up? Look who's making money in crude, y'all. The lion sleeps tonight. The lion is making some money in crude oil. Yeah, I actually went to an event with Hugh Ross, Dr. Hugh Ross, a couple of 20 years ago, and kind of confronted him on some of the problems that he espouses, and he just basically ignored me. I'm a nobody. Kind of fluffed me off. Well, Hugh Ross is a naturalist, so he's still into the scientific idea of we have to find a natural explanation for things. And science is never true. Yeah, that's right. Science is a probability exploration. It's trying to find out what's the probability of life, or, some sort of naturalist explanation. Like, what's the probability or the possibility of, amoeba to man evolution? That's an possible explanation for the origin of biodiversity in the planet. What's the probability of stars forming without God? Stars forming on their own by some sort of gravitational forces, which is really an unscientific idea, by the way. Star formation. Um, One thing I brought up to him was the salinity of the oceans. That if you start with a salt, right now the oceans are becoming saltier as we progress in time. So evidently, salt, the oceans were either pure water at the beginning of creation or they had some salt in it, right? That's the only two options. Well, if we use the current rate of the increase of salinity, it actually shows we have a young Earth. So if we use the estimation of the amount of salt we gain per year, we track that back. We start out with pure water uh, roughly 6,000 years ago. So he has developed models, though, that he agrees with that tell us that no, the Earth could be billions of years old, and he ignores the current rate of salinity increase and accepts his models. Well, I can make a model of anything. Um, I mean, financial models that are wrong. There's a way to model or put an equation on anything that is just false. I would never use science to debunk the testimony evidence of God and what he told us about. That's a misuse of science in my estimation. So I don't agree with some of his naturalistic proclivities. He's written some really good stuff. I'm not doubting it, and I've read it, and I actually find the good, keep the good, and reject the bad. But I'm kind of a science. Uh, I am a strong advocate of pure science, I guess. Science is really good for certain things, and it's really bad for other things. And wisdom is to know the difference. And I don't think Hugh Ross quite knows the wisdom of when science is good and when it's bad. Reasons to Believe, that's his organization. That's right. All right, crude is just tickling me here. I don't like this. I need it to move quicker. I am probably what you consider a young earther. I don't have a problem with being a young earth. God seems to have revealed it to us as a young earth. I take his testimony much more so than any sort of generalization of science or approximation or inference that there is an old earth. Uh, and what we consider to be old is really just our naturalistic imposition or bias. Um, if I look at a house and I say that's an old house, it's because it might have a beat up shingles or it might have, you know, I have an understanding of what a brand new house looks like, and I have an understanding of what happens over time when the wind and the rain and the paint and peels and the sun burns and things like that. So I have an understanding of how natural processes affect houses. So when I look at an old house, a house that's been around for a while and has all those things, I say that's an old house. But we really don't know what a young Earth looks like. So I don't have that frame of reference. I don't know what. Oh, here we go in crude. We're moving. Does that make sense? So I don't know. I can't draw the same conclusion. I don't know what a young Earth looks like or an old Earth. If this is an old Earth or a young Earth, I can't determine it because I don't know the initial condition. Okay, crude. Come on now. Why are you being this way? Well, I'm going to move my stop to break even on crude, guys, because I just don't like it. And I tell you what, too, by the way, I'm going to reduce my position size. Well, I'll put a target in to get out 2 contracts of my MCL. Let's see if it hits it or if it gets stopped out. I don't know. No, I don't believe in the gap theory because it's kind of reading between the lines a little bit for me. It might be true, but it's not clearly taught that way. All right, crude is gonna. Yeah, I don't like this crude trade. So we're out. I think we're out at break even. So nothing on that. It just was a lack. See, crude does that. I don't know. I'm glad I got out. Look at that. Now, the reason why I moved my stop to break even is because we finally had a bar that closed above my entry price. Closed completely above. The low was above. So that was that bar right there. Do you see that? This is our entry price. And the first bar to close above it, right, was right here. So that's why I moved my stop to break even. And that's one of my criteria for moving a stop. Yeah, I should have gotten out when we hit that big move up, but I didn't, and that's okay. It's okay. One thing I know about the scriptures, though, Matt, is I know nothing about them. God knows everything, and humans, we know nothing. We estimate things, we guesstimate things, we infer things based on what we think is logical or reasonable, but we don't know anything. We weren't there at the beginning. And science is a great tool for creating. Yeah, that's a good question. Death enters the world. I I mean, I've heard that argument and I used to strongly believe it. I'm not sure though. I don't know. I don't know. So when Adam and Eve were created, was there death of anything that was going on? Or was the death that was brought in death on humans only? Um, it seems to me that the death that God is talking about is the day that you eat of it, you shall die. And people then say, well, okay, humans are given the death sentence, but is the whole creation given a death sentence? Is anything died before that time, right? Well, they use Paul's argument to say the whole creation groans. The whole creation is groaning. I think Paul says it in Romans. Death entered the world by sin. They use that to kind of generalize things, to say all things then came under death penalty. I'm not sure about that. I kind of think that non-humans died. Plants died, bugs died, cattle died, sheep died. I don't think I have a problem with animals dying in a garden. Um, I don't know. Does that make sense? Oh, my dog is barking. Guys, I'm glad I got out of this stupid crude trade. Stupid crude trade. All right, we're coming up on 11 o'clock. Oh my goodness. Look at me ignoring a beautiful YM trade. Overbought, hit our sell level, went down to target, guys. Missed a YM trade. Nothing happening in the. All right, well, here's a valid short in the MNQ. I'm going to go ahead and go short here. All right, so I'm on board this micro Nasdaq short. Micro Nasdaq. Gold had a good move too. That's a good question, Matt. So, what does it mean to look old? It gets to my question before is that, well, maybe what we understand of what it looks like means to look like old is not right. So, yes, I mean, God could make it look any way he wanted to, and um, things might look old, I guess, to us in our inferences. But first of all, we don't know what old really looks like because we don't know what young looks like when it comes to planets or the Earth. So, right? I'm just guessing. So yes, God made Adam look old. He looked adult. I don't have a problem with God making things in that form if that suits his purpose. So clearly, if we had been there a moment after Adam was born, created, we would have said, "Wow, Adam, you look like, 20 years old or something." When he was really just moments old. So yeah, I mean that's a valid argument. So here's one question for you then. Is God a trickster? Is God a trickster? Is he fooling us into thinking it's old when it's really not old? Yeah, you mean like the speed of light and things like that, right? So that's telling us that currently we measure the speed of light at whatever it is, millions of miles a second. Um, okay, so that is using current speeds to then calculate it must have been millions of years ago for this light because this light must be millions of years old. And we're making a lot of guesses and assumptions. And that's possibly true, but it's also possibly false, and I have no way to tell one or the other. Now, people would say, well, it must be millions of years old because if we had the speed of light being infinite back then, that would have destroyed nuclear decay or something like that, right? Because the decay rate is apparently tied to the speed of light. And I'm like, well, that's again using what we see today as true. And a natural process is if that was in place at the time, yeah, you're probably right. Things would have burned up because of the heat or whatever. But then again, that's inferring things we just don't know. We just don't. All right, micro NAS is getting on my nerves here. We are short in the micro NAS, guys. We had a valid signal, but I'm getting ready to jump out. I'll tell you what we'll do though. I'm gonna move this down to that target. And actually, I'm going to move it to break even because we just had a minute bar close below the entry price. You see that? So the high is lower than the entry price. Okay, there we go, guys. There we go. My dog is freaking out because the garbage man is here. I don't know if you can hear that. I'm just going to get out of this micro NAS trade. I get out with a little bit of gain there. Just didn't feel like nurturing it, and my dog is bothering me, so. Yeah, that is exactly the question, right, Matt? So the laws of astrophysics that we observe today, if you believe them, certainly would make you draw some conclusions, right? But we don't know. We don't know. I don't know. You don't know. Um, so here's the question is God a trickster? I have an answer for you. I'm just wondering what your answer would be. Is God tricking us into thinking things are old? Is he deceiving us? I have my answer. Is God giving us an old earth, old looking earth, and is he then tricking us into thinking it's old? He's playing games with us. Micro Nasdaq is going down. Oh, we're at the 11 o'clock hour, man. You got to get your answer in quick, 'cause I'm shutting the room down. I'm gonna shut it down, Matt. I am mad at myself for missing this trade. I am mad at myself. Look at here. Dang it. Gold finally went north. Copper, we got out way too early. That's okay. We get out when we get out. Uh, Crude. Not too impressed with you, Crude. We do have another oversold area coming in here, but Matt, what do you think? Did they give you a stumper? You don't think so, but I don't argue it. So here's my answer. Are you interested in my answer? Is God a trickster? Did he give us an old earth? And that makes us wrong. So he is not a trickster. He is not at all, because he told us in his word, he told us the truth. He told us the earth was created in 6 days. He told us that humanity, starting with Adam, and he gave us the numbers for the dates of the birth of all of his children, and it brings us into, current times, right? So you can calculate the age of the earth, and people have done this. The age of mankind, anyway. The age of mankind from Adam through Abraham is given. So we know that it's pretty young, and Adam was created on the sixth day. So the earth is just a couple days older than Adam. That's how I read Genesis. Oh, look at that big move in crude. Um, so he told us. Now, if we take the earth and look at it and use it as authoritative and use it to determine how old it is, and then we have really no leg to stand on to say God is tricking us. We can't go back to him and say, God, you never told us it was young. That would be tricking. If God told us, um, it never told us it was young. If he never told us it was young, but he gave us an old looking earth, and then we calculated it to be old, and he said, no, it's not young. He did trick us in that sense, but he never did that. He told us it's young. He said, and you know what he also said? He said he holds his word higher than his name. Psalm, I'll have to look it up. One of the Psalms. He says, I hold my word higher than my name. And if we ignore his word, we're ignoring him. Get crude. Wow. 11 o'clock. So to listen to the earth as authoritative and use radiometric dating as authoritative and use um, any of the methods, the speed of light and the travel distance and things like that, if we use any of those methods, we're actually saying that he was wrong. We're not calling him a trickster, we're calling him wrong. And that is a whole different level. That's telling him that we know more than he does. That's telling him that we don't hold his word in any sort of esteem. And that's a real big problem. So I don't, God is not a trickster. He was very plain to us. And if we go off and use some other method to calculate things, then that's on us. It's not on him. That's how I answer it. Did I make sense? Is the universe old? The Earth is young. That is possible. Uh, so the question is, in Genesis 1:1, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was devoid, right, of form. It was formless and void. So we don't know the timing of those events. Yeah, so we don't. But I do find it interesting that the stars weren't created until later. What is the date of the stars? Is it the third day? Oh boy, I gotta get my Bible app out. So you get my point, is that the sun and the stars. Okay, we got to go all the way down to the 14th verse of Genesis. And God said, "Let there be lights in the vault of the sky to separate the day from the night, and let them serve as signs to mark sacred times and days and years. And let them be lights in the sky, in the vault of the sky to give light on the earth." And it was so. So we have 13 verses where the sun and the stars don't exist. I think that destroys the gap theory to me. Fourth day is when the lights in the sky were created. What do you think about that? How would the gap theory handle that? I mean, there might be an idea, there might be a possible thought of, I mean, if the old sun or the old stars, or were no stars or sun during the gap period, I guess that would be an argument. But or if they were destroyed and then remade at the beginning, I guess you can work around that. But I don't agree with all of that. That's just kind of making a whole bunch of stuff up. I kind of think that I'm just going to trust what he said as much as I can. I got a feeling that a moment after we die, we'll know for sure, but um, nobody's going to be an evolutionist in heaven, and nobody's going to be a naturalist. We're all supernaturalists, right? Matt, I have really enjoyed today. This has been fun. We're making money and we're talking about the important things of Scripture and the Lord. We got to do this more often, my friend. Now, one question too is Genesis 1 allegorical? Is it a metaphor or some sort of uh is it not true, right? I gotta think when I read Genesis 1, there is absolutely no metaphors in it. There's no similes. There's no uh, flowery language. There's no. You read the Psalms and you get these images, these pictures. Um, you get poetry. You get what do they call that? Symbolisms, and you get similes and metaphors. You get all these little pictures. It's a poetry. That is not what Genesis is. Genesis is historical narrative, and a lot of people who are not biased, I think, unbiased Hebrewists, Hebrew language students and professors agree that it's historical narrative. You get numbers in there. You get. Uh, I go to a right now. I'm going to really kind of a non-denominational modern church. I love the people. We've had a great time. Uh, but I mean, God bless them, and they're beautiful people, and I'm thankful to be there. But I do prefer a little more charismatic uh, ideas. But I got saved at a Calvary Chapel church, which is kind of a cross between Vineyard, which is very charismatic, and Baptist, right? So we got a little bit more in the spirit in that church, and I enjoyed that. But no, right now I wouldn't say I'm going to a charismatic, right? Spirit-filled church. So I got saved at a church that we didn't practice tongues, but we definitely did a more spiritual worship. Uh, I don't know how to describe it. It was a wonderful time, but I got saved out of atheism, and the pastor there was just a great man of God, verse by verse, and the Spirit was using him mightily to reach me and teach me the things that are important. Costa Mesa, yeah, that's the home church for Calvary Chapel. That's where Chuck Smith started the whole thing. I've been there. I did a little visit once back in early 2000s, late 90s. Oh yeah? Never made it to a no, I went to one vineyard once, but it was in the Midwest. Hey buddy, I had a great time with you today. We need to do this a lot more often. Anybody else make money today? Well, Matt made money, but he wasn't trading with me. Matt was doing his own thing. That's all right, Matt. Okay, I'm not faulting you, brother. No judgment. You do what you gotta do, brother. And sweet, guys. It's Wednesday the 23rd. Is it Wednesday? It is Wednesday, isn't it? And yes. So hopefully be here tomorrow. Pick it up again. We'll take it further. Maybe Matt will trade with us, and then we'll be able to actually have him verify that these are working. Feel free to share any of your trades, Matt. Man, I'd love to see what you're doing with Lido channels and with Adventure 62. You say you're doing signals based on that. That's really cool. I appreciate hearing from you. But if not, um, you know what you can do is take screenshots of what you're doing and then post them in comments for the video. But you do what you want to do. I'm just thinking it would be fun to take a look at what you're doing, and you can email them to me too. My email, everybody, you can reach me at a number of locations, but I'll give you, um, I mean, you can email me at info@sbgtradingcorp.com. My store site is here, store.sbgtradingcorp.com, and my emails are around there. So God bless you all. Again, it's been fun. We're making money. We're having a good time talking about important, deep things of Genesis. I'm really into Genesis, guys. So if you have any other thoughts, former atheist who became basically a young earther, I'm all for talking about it. I love science, but I also know science has limits. Science has limits. It is a Science is a generalization from a small set of data. It's a generalization. It's an estimate or an inference from a small picture. And that is very helpful if it works, when it works, but it's not a guarantee of truth and it's not all that great at historical analysis. So we have a very small set of, we have to be very respectful of that. And science could be very misleading in these historical things. You know, cold case files, like if you try and solve a case using forensic science, that's really difficult and not always true either. So, and that's just, cases that are 10 or 20 years old. Try and solve a case that's 100 years old. Try and solve a murder case that's 1,000 years old. You can't do it. Science just, it's just useless. So you're asking science to solve the age of the Earth, and that occurred billions of years ago, and you think science can figure that out? I don't know. God made it very clear, and he does put his name below his word. His word is above his name. If you know what that means, pretty significant. And you weren't able to post in comments. That's odd. I'll see. Maybe it's set to be public. There's a restriction on maybe the age. You're over 18, so that shouldn't be a problem. I think I restricted it to being 18 and older. But we'll make sure it's set to administer accept comments. That's odd. All right, guys, I'm done talking. I got to rest my voice. It's been really fun, Matt and others, and I wish you all the best. God continue to bless you guys. Have a good day on the 23rd, and I pray that your trading is going well and you're not offended by all my crazy ideas about scripture. I hope that's the case. If not, then you know what? You're gonna have to give me grace. And I give you grace. It's been fun. Ciao. Take care and have a good day.